But I fear the reaction of our abolitionists at home.
Why should anyone object?
Do you agree, Mr. Garrison?
But let's speak to Mr. Douglass.
The more that's known about slavery, the better. Don't you agree, Frederick? Frederick, my sister and I have hired an agent who has been in contact with you all. He is willing to sell you.
Sell? To you?
Well, as soon as the transaction is completed, we can give you your freedom.
Freedom.
They negotiated a price. I think the bidding started at $5,000, but it ends up $711.66. Why such a disparity in negotiating? Because here's what they're saying to the All brothers: you want $5,000, fine, but you ain't gonna see Douglass again. You can either take this sure money here, or so he ends up taking the money. After the purchase, Douglass comes back, and he ends up a free man. Now, what does that really mean? Could mean everything, maybe nothing, because you could actually kidnap free blacks, take them down into the South, and they'd end up in slavery, just like Solomon Northup. And there were others. But what's working in Douglass's favor is, at the time he becomes free, he's also, or should I say, photography is starting. He's the most photographed individual in the 19th century, over 160 separate sittings. Now that means nothing to us today because we can selfie ourselves 160 times doing a commercial, right? But back then, you either had to go to the photography studio or the photographer had to bring his heavy equipment to you over 160 separate times. How is this working for him? Because he's recognizable. So you're not gonna be able to just kidnap him, put him down the South, and nobody recognizes him. The downside is, if you're trying to kill him, you know exactly what he looks like.
Brown, we're indebted to you for your deeds in Kansas. They say you freed over 100 slaves.
Several hundred. We escaped just ahead of the, shall we say, friendly posse.
Around 1856, he meets with John Brown. John Brown's got this plan of going to Harper's Ferry. Well, actually, before then, he and his sons hacked 5 pro-slavery men to death with broadswords in Kansas, right? As a matter of fact, there was a civil war going on in Kansas in the 1850s. I like to call it the dress rehearsal before the big one was going to roll around 1861. So in 1859, he meets with Douglass. He has a plan of going to Harper's Ferry. Still Virginia at that point. It's not West Virginia until '63. And he says he wants to confiscate these rifles, ammunition, and build this increasing army that's going to march through the South and eradicate slavery by force. And when he shows up down there, he's got a wagon full of rifles, and he's thinking that folk won't just jump out and say, "Oh yeah, we're down with it." Didn't work out like that. For 2 days, both of those guys are together, one trying to convince the other of his point of view. And Douglas is like, I give you A for effort, but your plan is foolhardy. It's not gonna work. You think about it. You're hoping that you can get enough insurgents with you to go along. So you've got to have a nucleus that you start with, but you're hoping to win the hearts of those where you are. That's going to be difficult. And then you're going up against the army that's going to have, as far as you're concerned, unlimited supplies, unlimited manpower, and staying power. So Douglass doesn't go with him. Brown goes. His plan falls apart. He's captured, tried, convicted of treason. On the morning of his execution, December of 1859, he writes a note. He hands that note to his jailer, and this is what it says. "I, John Brown, am quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will only be purged by blood." That was one prophetic statement. The American Civil War produced over 750,000 military deaths. Civilian deaths was 50,000. Total killed and wounded, probably 1.9 million. You add up all of our wars combined, they didn't equal those numbers before the Civil War. And you add all of our wars after combined, at least as of today, and they still don't equal those numbers. That was our cataclysmic event in our history.